thanks for joining my channel today. Today we're going to be talking about natural hair, and I'm going to be doing my makeup, getting ready while I am talking about natural hair. So a lot of people are going natural. It's been going on for years now. Black community are rooting for stay natural and go natural and embracing your blackness and everything that has to do with being black. Some are doing it because Christian men love their hair, they love their women being natural, and they're doing it for the men. Some people, they're also Christians, they're not doing it for the men. They're doing it because they actually love the idea of embracing everything that has to do with you and the history and the culture of being black and being African. I'm African, so I'm going to be talking from an African woman's perspective. When I was in Nigeria, I didn't really have problems with wearing my natural hair. I didn't have any problems wearing my natural hair. As a matter of fact, there's sometimes that I actually had to perm my hair. But what I realized that every time I permed my hair, it would grow out really long, and like 2 months after, it would start shedding like crazy. Like I would comb out my hair and it would shed, and it had a pattern of shedding. It would shed like from the very back, because I would usually sleep with my back, with the back of my head laying flat, and it would start shedding right from there. When I came to the United States, which is definitely a really great change for me, I started to I didn't really have problems initially when I was among my friends and I was in my comfort zone. But when I got a job that required me traveling around and experiencing other communities that I wasn't really familiar with, I started to notice a change. And it wasn't a very slow change, it was a rapid change of that experience with my work. Because I worked with patients and I have to be with patients one-on-one, I realized that every time I was one-on-one with my patients, I had really terrible remarks regarding the way I looked and my hair. And although I didn't really want to read too much into it, because you have to be a professional, and because of the field of work, a lot of people that you do encounter, they have some sort of mental illness or things like that. So it could, I thought at a point that it was part of the job. It was part of the job, but I started to notice a pattern that it wasn't because of my hair that I was getting a lot of hate, a lot of comments. Some people asked me if I would take my shower every time I washed my hair. They'll ask me how often I washed my hair. They'll ask me how long my braids were gonna take to redo. They'll ask me if I thought it was professional to wear that type of hair to work, And I think it was the shower part that actually got me, because usually I didn't mind answer the questions. I felt like, hey, yeah, it's okay to be curious. It's okay you can even touch my hair if you want. It's okay to be curious, because I understand sometimes I can be curious as well, when I see something that I'm not really used to seeing. And what I did was naively, I answered them, because I was really naive at that point to understand exactly the racial issues that are going on in the state, and not just the state, in the world really. I didn't really want to see it that way, that someone wouldn't like me because of the color of my skin. So I didn't read much into it, but I struggled. I started to really struggle with the thoughts and the ideas, to the point where I actually felt like bleaching my skin. I felt like using really excessive sun screens, and I started asking people, "Oh, do you think I'm too black?" It started to really affect me emotionally and mentally as I continued to travel all over the United States for work. And it really got to me, really at a point. I wasn't comfortable going to work with my natural hair. I started making wigs for myself, making single units for myself, and And I gave myself the excuse of, you know what, it's just for convenience sake. I don't want to do my hair, so I'm just going to wear this wig. And when I wore the wig, I didn't have problems. But when I would wear my natural hair, there were problems. There were really ridiculous questions that were being asked. And at that point, I didn't think they were asked because of curiosity. I knew that they were being asked for other reasons, which is I don't like you here. What are you doing here? You don't fit in here, and things like that. So I realized that I was in a battle, not only a physical battle but a spiritual battle that could affect my work, because I didn't want to go to work, and I definitely needed money at that time. I dreaded going to work. I hated going to work. And I had just started to get to know God at that time, study more about God. I was reading my Bible daily, religiously, and I got encouragement from the Word of God at that time that says that I am fearfully, and not just fearfully, out of respect, God has made me in His image, to be wonderfully made to look like Him. I thought that was a really, really great gift, that God would consider us worthy to be made in His image. And I continued to read it until it made so much sense to me that I didn't have to be like I didn't have to be like anyone. I didn't have to look like someone that doesn't like me. I don't have to wear straight hair to impress someone that obviously doesn't like or doesn't feel comfortable with the color of my skin or how I look. So the word of the Lord encouraged me at that time, and I remembered one white man's act of kindness. One white man's act of kindness actually really helped me at that point to escape that emotional entanglement that I could have been stuck in, to believe that all white people are bad people, and all white people are racist, and all white people are mean. You know, it only took just one man's act of kindness to erase that from my memory. I remember the white man that really just, I don't know, he was just really fond of me, and he wanted the best for me, and he would mentor me, and he accepted me into his home. He gave me his bed. Don't want to go to the details of what that happened, but I remember one white man's act of kindness. And the word of the Lord at that point really helped me a lot to be able to continue working without developing hatred for anyone that would look everyone that looked white, anyone that looked Caucasian, you know. And I understand that there's a lot of tension in the world, there's a lot of fear in the realm right now regarding racial. There's a lot of racial tension, especially if you live in the United States. And that definitely could affect your job and your career, because all those emotions and all those mental things, it's kind of known that this happens and still happens, that some people will still treat you awful because of the color of your skin. It's known, but it's not often said. It's not often talked about in a way that would not result into you hating the other person. I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to fall with the majority of, okay, white people are mean and white people are racist, and that I'm not like that. I don't think like that, and I refused at that point. But it was very difficult. It was a difficult fight to remain sane after those experiences. But God is definitely very helpful. God is very comforting, and His word, when you continue to read His word, you understand why the fight that we're fighting is not a physical fight. It's a spiritual fight, and we have to win it by loving and serving those that may not be deserving of our love. And that could also apply to a white person too, that may feel like black people are racist, or black people are mean people, or black people are lazy people, or whatever idea or stereotypes that people have these days about black people. That can apply to you too if you're watching this video, that just because the majority of those people that look like you think think like that, or it's been a tradition to hate on another person that doesn't look like you. Hopefully this may change your mind. I don't know, it may change your mind to be that different, to stand out, So I'm sharing this video because a lot of us do go through this internal struggle, and we may not necessarily know how to communicate these internal struggles because it's a known fact. It's a known fact that these things actually still goes on in the Black community. But I'm sharing this really to explain to you the purpose of why I'm going natural. And the purpose is because, not really for me, but it's for the generations that are coming after us. The generations that are coming after us. And amongst those generations are going to be my kids. If according to gospel, I'm going to be getting married in a foreign man's land, which is in the States, and I'm going to be having my kids in the foreign man's land, I know there are certain steps that I have to take to be that mentor to my kids. And the best way to be that mentor is to accept myself for who I am. Is to accept that I am wonderfully made in God's image, that God made my hair kinky for a reason, that He made my chubby cheeks fat for a reason, and to accept every single flaw about myself, and to just love myself the way God loves me, that He had created me like this for a reason and for a purpose. And I have to be that person to mentor my kids. I don't want to have to tell them a story, because I can't control and I can't change what they will experience when they do go out into the world. When they're being raised here to be kingdom babies, kingdom kids, going out to the world to make a difference in the world, to influence the world for God, and help positively to the society. When they go out to do that, I can't control this. Although I can be their parent, I can guide them, I can lead them in the way of the Lord, but I can't control every of their experiences. They have to experience their own experiences, just like I experienced my own experiences, and they have to come up with their conclusions as well. But when they do go through the mental trauma and the emotional trauma that could possibly make them that feel inadequate or feel like they don't deserve to live on the planet Earth, when they go through all of that and they come into my house and they see me, the story in my face, my acceptance of who I am will tell them is a story of sanity. I know what insanity feels like, and I don't want my kids to go through that, although I can't control that. But I can be that, I can represent by accepting myself and being that mentor. Without having to speak a word to my child, they can look at me and say, well, mommy loves the way she looks. Mommy has accepted her the way she looks, and she loves herself, and she loves everything about her. She's comfortable not wearing makeup sometimes. She's comfortable going to the store not wearing makeup sometimes. She's comfortable with the pimples and the dark spots on her face. She's comfortable with the locks on her hair and everything about her. Then I can be comfortable too. They get to make that decision by just looking at me. I don't have to say much and say, oh, well, you're wonderfully and fearfully made in God's image. Well, you're looking good, girl. My daughter, just accept yourself. Just love yourself. I feel as though I can't say the word without backing it up with my actions. I can't convince them. I can't tell them this truth, that they're wonderfully and fearfully made, if they look at me and then they see another version, which is a woman that is wearing wig to sleep, a woman that doesn't accept her. And I don't want to say because you're wearing that it means that you don't accept yourself. I'm just speaking from my own point of view, that if I have to tell my kids that while they're going through that struggle, I feel as though I have to represent by looking the part. Not just saying it, but playing the part as well with how I look. Because although it's not a Christian thing, like God will still have a relationship with you if you don't do that. God will still love you if you wear straight hair and your skirt is not long enough. But God will still, God it doesn't care about that as much. it's about representation, because when the things about the God's kingdom, a lot of times you have to understand the purpose behind the things, and that was what Christ brought us. He brought us purpose. It brought us a reason why we have to do so many things, why it's necessary, that even though we're going to be representing him in his kingdom, we have to play the part, not just for our own benefit, but for the generations that are coming after us, because they're going to be having questions. They're going to be having a lot of questions based on how they're being treated. They're being treated differently. They're being considered, even though they're part of the society, there's some kind of discrimination, or there's certain benefits that they can't have, or they can have, or things like that. The things that they go through, it's definitely could be traumatizing. And I want to be that mother that would represent by how I look. I want to be that one that will be able to answer those questions that we have. I feel as though if you're representing, then you're kind of qualified to answer those questions. But if you're not representing, it doesn't seem as though you are qualified to talk about accepting yourself and, hey, you're wonderfully and fearfully made, because they're looking for answers and they can get that answer without you just saying without you saying so many words, because your face, the way you carry yourself, the way you love yourself, the way you express yourself to your kids, the way you mentor them, tells the story. And that's all they have to think about. See, the white man that was really nice to me, he didn't know the effect of what he did in my life. But that 1 month, what he did, oh my God, because that was the only person I could think of at that time. It was him and God at that time that I was just struggling with the mentor thoughts that was coming to me. And it's so important for us to not just be kind. To just be kind to people, because you never know how your act of kindness could change someone's life in the future. This was about, let's say, I think it was like about 7 years ago that I met this man. But what just happened like 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago. I started to have those mental thoughts about white people, and with all the things that were going on in our world now. But I could think about what he did 7 years ago, and I was like, well, at least there's one man that is white and there's nice, and if that's the only one man that I can be friends with, then yes, so be it. So that's it on this topic. It's a matter of representation, because the generations after us, like I already said, are going to be asking questions, and that's the purpose. That's the purpose of why I feel like I'm going after. If this helps you to be able to think not just for yourself but for your kids, well, I hope I can tell you one thing: you wouldn't regret making that decision. You wouldn't regret making that decision. Yes, it's going to be hard when you're transitioning. At first, my hair is really short, and sometimes it's very difficult for me to start short hair. Sometimes I feel like my face is too chubby for my short hair. Sometimes I don't like myself when I look in the mirror, because I'm just like, oh my God, I don't look like all slayed, all bundled up, all curled up. I don't look like that anymore, because I used to wear a lot of wigs, a lot of bundles, and a lot of foreign people's hair. I don't look like that anymore. But I had to accept that transition. I had to accept that change, that it was part of the process. And I watched a lot of other YouTube videos, a lot of YouTubers that are also transitioning to natural hair and wearing their hair short, and I'm like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too. Like, it's okay. It's okay. We can all just go through this journey together. We can all go through this journey together. Again, if you do wear straight hair and you wear weaves, I don't have any problems with that, but hopefully this can help you. That's it on this topic. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope on my next video I get to complete my makeup look. One day I will finish it. I'll finish it. Bye. Love you.
My head is heavy, let me lay it down. Into your lap I would love to drown. I need that story I used to hear, to run on and to end